I know there's a few of you who are upsetty spaghetti that summer is almost over, but listen, most of us are tired of this heat, so I'm just here to get us prepared. I'll be recommending you the perfect books to read for the upcoming fall season. Now, my fall reads are always a mixture of very atmospheric books, cozy books of any kind, dark and moody fantasy and gothic literature that makes you just like want to just sit in a cozy sweater and drink tea, brooding next to an open window. I do have a lot of variety here from horror to fantasy, but I will be doing a separate scary book recommendations video probably in October, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. There's a lot of haunted house books coming out soon, which I'm excited about. My goal is to pretty much read all of them, as I love scary books that center around a creepy house. You know what's also a great goal for September? That is managing mental health, and that is why I'm so happy to have BetterHelp as the sponsor of today's video. Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like anxiety or depression, or if you're just having a hard time right now, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and accessible, and this is a very important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you have limited options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out just a few questions, you can be matched with a therapist in just a few days. Finding a therapist that you vibe with is important, and BetterHelp knows this. So what's great is that you can easily switch to a new therapist at any given time with no additional cost. So if you're kind of struggling right now and you want to try out BetterHelp for yourself, you can click the link in my description box, which not only helps to support this channel, but also gives you 10% off your first month of therapy. A huge thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. So I do have a few fall recommendations here that aren't out yet, but I still want to talk about them because I don't want to wait until next year to recommend them. That'd be super lame because they're like the most perfect books to read for the season. So I'm talking about them in this video. Let's talk about that first book now. When I think of fall or autumn, whatever you want to call it, autumn makes it sound fancy. I live in Ohio. I feel like if I said autumn to someone, they look at me weird. I think of historical fiction that give off that like old history vibe. I immediately think of The Magician's Daughter. By the way, I do have physical copies for all of these books, but I feel like in the last video, I was like flinging it everywhere. I feel like it was up here at one point. I don't know why. I guess I talk with my hands too much. So just for today, I'm going to post a video here. Let me know if you like seeing the physical book or if like pictures are okay. I hope they're okay. Anyways, this is like if Howl's Moving Castle and a little princess had a baby. So you can kind of get an idea on what kind of feeling the story gives off. It's about a young woman who has been living on a mythical island off the coast of Ireland all her life, and her only friends are a mage named Rowan and his familiar, a rabbit who can transform into a human. And one day Rowan tells her that the magic in the world has pretty much died out and he needs her help to confront the council who hoards magic all for themselves. He basically needs her help to get some answers because she has some hidden magic in herself. So she journeys off the island for the very first time and heads to London. It's a bit of a generic story. I don't mean that in like a mean way. I found this to be a really great palate cleanser and refreshing and very magical, whimsical. It is slower paced and it's just like a good book to be wrapped up in a blanket with. Next up, I have a scary vampire book here. Though it doesn't give off like cozy fall leaves vibes, it does turn things brown as you'll be pooping your pants. Night's Edge. I'm debuting my review here as this is a recent read of mine. Now this is not your normal vampire book. It's quite unique actually, and it puts a spin on like the vampire creature. We have Mia, our main character, and her mom has this affliction along with millions of others across the world, and they have to keep this a secret. They have to stay in hiding, but we have a rebel on our hands. Mia is getting older and wants to branch out, but the consequences to that is blood, a lot of blood. This was so engaging, full of paranoia. It had me at the edge of my seat the whole time. It's like nail-bitingly intense. I think it's the perfect spooky season read, though it did come out in June, I think. Maybe June or July. I think June, I believe. There is going to be a sequel, so the story isn't finished. I'm really looking forward to it, though. It's not a long book either. You'll fly through it because you just want to know what's going to happen next. Let's switch to a ghost story, episode 13. Now, I personally thought this book was just okay, but I will never tell you not to read a book because no two people read the same book, so I will always try to recommend it and for you to give it a try yourself. I highly recommend this book to those of you who like paranormal investigative shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, although I love those shows myself. The author takes that and creates a fictional story about the 13th episode of a ghost hunting show called Fade to Black. We follow 5 ghost hunters who get the opportunity to investigate this exciting location that was the site of some occult where everyone went missing in the 1970s. I actually heard that the audiobook to this is great because it's told in a structure that would benefit a lot from hearing an actual cast, but I did really like it. I actually said that when the audiobook came out, I would reread it again and give it a second chance. Let me know down below if you have listened to the audiobook or if you read this and you loved it, because I would love to know. I have the physical copy right in front of me. Let me show you exactly how it's like written. Oh look, perfect example. See, it's like text messages. I hope that's in focus. What else? Oh look, it's kind of like a script, like a play script. Here is another example. The entire book is written like that, so maybe that's why I found it a little weird to read it physically. So audiobook, probably great. Moving along to Camp Damascus. I just finished this book so that I could hopefully recommend it in this video, and I can. I read it in a day. It's a really short one in the 200-page range. We follow Rose, who quickly uncovers at Camp Damascus the #1 source of commerce in her town also happens to be run by a cult, aka a megachurch. Rose is a devoted follower of its congregation, but she can't stop seeing a demon every time she thinks about girls in a way that is more than friends. Rose teams up with a camp counselor to help solve the disturbing secrets being swept under the rug. This is true horror to me. There's even been fan art made for this book. I'm going to put it on the screen, just be warned. It's horrifying. Yeah. That's extremely unsettling. It does take a really weird turn when it comes to some twists, but I still think it's worth checking out. It's overall just such a strange, polarizing story. And I'm normally not a fan about books that center on religion, but this one just made it really interesting. Okay, so these next 2 books I'm going to talk about, I did full review videos for, and they aren't out yet, but I have to talk about them. The first one is Starling House. This is Alex E. Harrow's newest upcoming release in October. It is so good. I love this one. I have a full review for it. I'll link that review video below. It's spoiler free. You have to read this for fall. There's a creepy old manor house, a mysterious caretaker who is living in it, and our main character who pushes aside all the horrible, scary rumors about it and gets a job there for some faster cash so that she can help her brother and herself get out of the town that they live in. It's magical, whimsical, and also spooky. It's spooky enough to quench a horror buff's thirst, but not so spooky that someone who scares easily is going to hate it. I think it's a perfect balance between the two because there's so many other elements to dilute it, but then there's also like a lot of blood. So again, it's a good mix. The writing is beautiful. I love the way Harrow made this decrepit manor come to life, where it felt like it was just like down the street from me as someone who lives in a crappy small town, so relatable. Anyways, this was a 5 out of 5 star for me, and also the next book I'm about to talk about was a 5 out of 5 stars, and that was The Hexologist. If you are a Josiah Bancroft fan, you need this one. That's all there is to it. I am trying to decide if this would be considered a witchy read, but I don't know. Maybe in like a unique way if you stretch and twist the word witch a little. I mean, it is hexology, which is like the study of hex signs, but it's not as dark as you might think. It's very lighthearted, very whimsy. It takes place kind of in a 1920s era, I think. It does have that steampunk vibe. We have a married couple who are hexology experts, and they are asked to help out the king, who seems to have gone mad. So you almost have like a whodunit mystery. It's witty and funny. It just has a ton of elements that makes it a great fall read. Hi everyone, so while I was editing this video, it's the next day for me, I realized there was a book that I completely forgot to mention, and it definitely needs to be added to this list because it is a new release and I just recently finished it. Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. I think this is such a great fall read. If you are looking for a dark fairy tale retelling, specifically on the Sleeping Beauty spectrum, I highly recommend this. When I think dark fairy tale, I think that's just like, I don't know, it's a perfect vibe, for perfect genre for the upcoming fall season. So I just wanted to quickly mention it. Don't miss out on this one. It's tiny. It's a little baby boy. Look at it. Small. Alrighty, that's going to be it for this video. There are plenty other great fall reads out there, but I try not to repeat the ones I talked about in last year's video. I will be doing more fall recommendations closer to October, or even in October, specifically for scary books. There are so many on my TBR, like The September House I still need to read if I haven't read it already by the time this video goes up. The Night House, The Stranger Upstairs. There's like a new House on Haunted Hill book coming out. I'll be reading all of these. So tell me below books that you think make great reads for the upcoming fall season. I know it's still 90 degrees outside, but we can all pretend it's sweater weather. Hopefully that comes sooner rather than later. Be sure to check out that BetterHelp offer. It'll be linked down below for you. Like and subscribe, and until I meet again, happy reading.